guys, Katie Heller here with Kids Can Read and Write, and today I want to talk about spelling words with A and E. So the first thing your kids really need to know to spell anything is the letters and the sounds that they make. They have to know letters and sounds, right? They have to be able to recognize the sounds that they're hearing in a word and be able to write them down. So when they hear a word that has an ah in it, then they need to know that that ah sound is the A. And when they hear a word that has the eh sound in it, then they need to know that that's an E. So it's really important that your kids can hear the sounds in words and know what letters actually make those sounds. Vowels are some of the most confused letters as far as I've seen. So we want to really make sure your kids know all of the vowels. A, E, I, O, and U. So today we're just going to be working on that ah sound and that eh sound. So we want to make sure they can hear the difference between ah and eh. Now, another really important thing before you even start calling out words for your kids is they need to be able to hear all of the sounds in a word. So if we call out the word, let's say, mat, you say, can you spell the word mat? And remember, when you're asking your kids to spell words for you, be excited. Let them hear that this is an exciting thing. Don't make it a chore. Don't sit down and be super serious. Make it fun. Make them think they're being really big kids who are playing a big kid game with you. So make it fun. So let's say you say, can you spell the word mat? Okay, we'll just use mat. Can you spell the word mat? Well, before they can even start to spell that, they're going to have to be able to hear these sounds that make up mat. In other words, when kids first hear mat, it just sounds like mat. But what they have to learn to do is break it into its individual sounds. At or at, depending on how you do it. If you're a m person, that's fine. If you're an m person, that's fine too. But your kids have to be able to break the word mat into its individual sounds. M, at, or at, depending on how you do it. So when we call out the word mat, if your kids can't break it up yet, you need to help with that. So if we say, hey, do you want to spell the word mat? Can you spell that word? Mat, remember, be excited. Then you help them hear the sounds. You say, okay, let's see what comes first. Mat. And you really emphasize that first sound. Mat or at, depending on what you're saying. Mat, okay? Mat. Some kids, if they have auditory processing, are not going to hear the sound because it's kind of all inside your own head when you say it. They might need to hear you say mat, mat, and really emphasize that part. So if you have a child who has trouble hearing or who has auditory processing and they're just looking at you blankly, they don't know what you're saying when you go they can't hear the difference between and you know, they just can't hear that. Emphasize it. Mat. Make sure they can hear it. So have them write the first sound, and then ah. Now, I like to tell kids that ah is the one that looks like the apple with the stem attached, okay? Ah. And it might be written like that. That's where it really looks to me like here's the apple and here's that stem attached, okay? That's the other computer A. So either way, make sure they know that. And then E, this is the ear, and this is Granny's hand around her ear. And she can't hear very well. She says, eh, eh, eh. So you kind of drop your throat. Eh, eh, eh. So make sure you're saying these sounds correctly. A is ah. like apple, and E is eh, 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 like egg. Or you could pretend this is like the elephant's trunk, right? F for elephant. Whatever helps you and your child say it correctly, but make sure you're saying it correctly. So we have ah. And what I'm going to do for my child is I'm going to kind of point under the letter as I help him or her spell it, okay? So I'm going to go ah. Every time I start it again, I'm going to point to the and then I'm going to point to ah. Because I'm trying to help my child know that there are different letters they need to write and where we are in that word. So ah, which is that? Ah or eh? Ah. So that's the apple one. So we're going to put the apple with the stem. At. Mat. Okay? At. See how I'm going to point back? At. And I'm just going to end here where we need the letter. So mat. And I say, what sound does that make? And if they can tell me tita, and write that down. Mat. Now remember, as you're doing spelling practice, another important thing is to show your kids that there are two sizes of letters, short and tall, okay? You want to make sure they know there are only two sizes of letters, short and tall. There shouldn't be a whole bunch of different sizes going on, okay? Two sizes, short or tall, short or tall. So make sure, short or tall. And they should know that. And as they're writing, help them start doing that because you want them to be very nice, neat writers, and you want it to look really good when they're done. And why not teach them from the start, right? So make sure they're practicing handwriting while they're practicing their spelling. So now let's try another. And well, before we start that, I just want to say when you finish a word, always have your child reread it to you. Have them sound it out so you can go at. Remember, you want to drag your vowel into that last sound when you're reading. That's what makes it come together faster. At, mat. Or if you're doing you'd say at, at. Mat. Either one works, just be consistent. If you're saying stick with that. If you're saying stick with that. But remember, if your child's having trouble hearing it, you might need to emphasize it more. You'll find I put the at the end of my letters because I work with a lot of kids who have auditory processing issues and they need to hear it loud and clear. So it's not going to damage anyone either way as long as you're consistent. You teach your kids how to deal with that sound. So it's just a at, mat. We're not going to write the Okay, mat. All right, let's try another. Let's see. How would you spell the word fed? Okay, so let's say we're asking our child, how would you spell fed? Listen to that. Fed. F-ed. Fed. See how I say the word, I break it into parts, and then I help my child spell it. So I go, fed. What do you hear first? Fed. Fed. F-ed. Until they can hear that f. What letter is that? F. Okay. So the F is tall. We're going to make a nice tall letter. F, What do you hear? That's Granny saying or the elephant, right? So we're going to put that next. Now notice I'm going to point. Ed. Ed. Notice how I end up here. So ed. What says da? Da-da-da-dee. So when I do a D, I'm going to teach my child, start with the da-da-da, daddy's face, right? You could draw daddy's face in there. Then build his ladder. His ladder's tall. He's on the ground. He's going to go up the ladder, work on the roof. That's how we're going to make sure that kids get their B's and D's correct. We don't want them just always putting the circle first for both and then not knowing where the line goes. we need them to know for D, start with your circle, put the ladder. If you're writing a B, you start with the ba back, then you put the legs curled. Okay, we want to make sure they know which one's which, and we want to give them verbal instructions on how to write each one so they don't get it confused in their mind and have years of untraining to do. Okay, make sure you're helping your child with handwriting as you're helping them learn to spell. So let's do another. Let's say the word is rag. Rag. There is a rag on the washing machine that I need to wipe this up. Rag. Okay, rag. So let's say you call out the word rag. So remember, first you say the word rag. Make sure your child knows what it means too. Like, make sure you're talking about the meaning, a rag, using it in a sentence so they know. And then help them break it up if they can't already do so on their own. Some kids will already be going, oh, rag, rag. But if your child doesn't know how to do that yet, you are going to need to help your child do it. So you just say, oh yeah, rag. Let's break it up. Rag. What do you hear first? Rag. And you really emphasize that sound for them so they can hear it. So when they say R, okay, let's write it. Short R. There's our R. What do we need next? Ag. Ag. See how I'm moving this so they can see what's missing and where it goes. That's also teaching them how to break it into parts every time I do this. So, what do you hear? Apple, like That's the A. So we're going to do the circle and the stem. The apple and the stem. Ag. See, every time I'm going to keep making these sounds because kids don't know what you're doing when you start writing letters down unless you show them. So make sure you're showing them how you're coming up with these letters. Ag. And guess what else? It's also helping with reading as you go back over because you're reinforcing the sounds and showing them the blending technique while you do it. So, ag. What goes there? G, G. Now, a lot of kids have trouble with G, Gs. They don't know which way the G goes. Sometimes they put the hair first, sometimes they put it after. So when you do a G, you can say the girl's face goes first. Okay, there's the girl's face, just like Daddy's face. And then she likes her long hair to hang down and curl under her chin. So that's how you help your child get a G the right way. Ag, rag. Okay, and then remember, after you're done, you point and you sound it out and you show your child how to do that. Make sure they know what the word means and that they're understanding everything you're doing. So that's basically it, guys. When you're trying to help your child know the difference between A and E, remember, you're going to call out the word. They have to know their letters, sounds. If you want them to spell, they're going to have to know letters and sounds, but they also have to know how to break those words up into individual parts. And if they're not there yet, then you need to do it for them to help them through it. So we'll try just a few more. If you want to have your child try with us, I'll just call out a few more and we can try it. So make sure you have pencil, paper, and let's see how it goes. All right, so let's try to write the word get. This is a word a lot of people want to be able to write. So let's spell get. G-et. Get. Can you spell that? See if you can. What do you hear first? Get. Get. What do you hear? G. All right, that's the G, G. We're going to put the girl's face first. And then we're going to give her long hair and curl it under her chin. All right. G-et. What says eh? That's a granny with her hand around her ear. Eh. So we're going to put our E next. G-et. G-et. last after that et? Let's listen again. G-et. What do you hear? T-ta. That's tall. And it crosses where the short letters go. Let's see if we got it. Let's read it. G-et. G-et. Get. Very good. All right, let's try another. How about the word bag? Bag. Can you spell it? Bag. Let's see. What do you hear first? Bag. Bag. What do you hear first? Bag. That's the B-ba. When we do a B, we start with the ba-ba-ba back, like somebody's straight back. Then we do that circle after. Ba-ah. What do you hear next? Ba-ah. Is that ah or eh? Ba-ag. That's the apple one. We're going to put the circle and then the straight line. And make sure when you write yours, your line's coming right next to that circle. Don't let it slide. Should be straight up and down. Ba-ag. What do you hear last? Ba-ag. You hear it? Giga, just like we did here. So remember, we start with the ga-ga-ga girl's face. There it is. Then we give her a nice long hair and curl it under her chin. And then we read it to make sure we got it right. Ba-ag. Bag. Good. Did you get it? Very good. All right, we'll do one more. Let's see, what is it going to be? How about web? Web. Yesterday I was outside and there was a spider in a big web. I almost walked right through it. Web. Can you spell web? Listen to the sounds. W-eb. W-eb. See if you can write it. What says w? It's not a Y. What is it? W. It's the W. W. Looks like that. So we're going to put w. Who says that? That's our E-e. Granny's hand around her ear saying eh. So we go straight line, then up and around. Web. Web. What do you hear last? The ba-ba-ba-ba sound. We're going to start with the ba-ba-ba back. Then the circle goes after it. Web. Web. So there you go, guys. That's how you start spelling words with your kids. You've got to make sure they know their letters and sounds, and then you have to help them hear the sounds that are in the word. If you're just calling out the word and they're writing crazy letters, it's probably because they don't know how to break up the words into individual sounds yet. So that's a skill, and you want to help them do it. Now, if you go through short vowel words with the A, E, I, O, U, and you just have like those 3-letter words that you can sound out according to the actual sounds we've taught our kids at this point, well, then they're going to learn how to do this. So you want to make sure you use those short words and then help them break them up and then make sure they're getting the right letters to represent those sounds. And that is how you start spelling with your kids. So if you're having trouble, if they're not wanting to do it with you, check a few things. Make sure you're being excited about it, that it's not a chore. Make sure you're praising them as they go through the words. Make sure that you are just helping them and gently correcting when they miss something, because this is new for them and they don't know what they're doing yet. So you have to remember to be just as patient with learning to spell as you were when they were learning to walk. You didn't yell at them when they fell down because they didn't keep standing, right? So just make sure your voice is sounding happy and fun and reassuring, and that you're praising as you teach them this skill. Because for some kids, it's really, really, really hard to remember all those letters and sounds and to hear the difference between things like A and E, or E and I, or any other sounds that are just kind of similar and sound a little cloudy in their ears. So be patient, be kind, and good luck. And if you need more help, guys, go to kidscanreadandwrite.com and look for the Black Belt Reading Program. Or you can go to kidscanonlineacademy.com and look for the Black Belt Reading Program there. And in that program, I'm going to teach your kids directly. In this video, I'm teaching you, but in those videos, I'm talking right to your kids, telling them how these things work. We're sounding out words together, reading words together. I've got videos that do all those things so that you can learn along with them and then guide them through the learning packets that are included. And all you have to do is just work through those learning packets, and you will help your child learn to read and write in the comfort of your own home. It's very easy if you follow a systematic, explicit, process, and you can do this. I promise you, you can do this. If you're wanting to teach your child to read and write, look up the Black Belt Reading Program. It's a great way to just walk them through the process one step at a time and get them reading and writing with ease. So if you need help, go to kidscanonlineacademy.com or kidscanreadandwrite.com and look for the Black Belt Reading Program. I hope this helped you guys. Thanks so much. Hope to see you again soon.